Donk Nation, Jax and Jennets, greetings and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, here to bring you some Steelers talk. I promise you, Laskers. I promise you, Gingy. I have delivered. We can be a little happier than if you would have caught us without a Thursday night game. So let's take advantage of the 2 games in 5 days. We got a double recap coming. Laskers, Gingy, how are you feeling?
Woo! The highs and lows. Gingy here in the house. We talking Steelers football. After that sloppy Jacksonville game, that offense appeared quite dismal. Donkey. However, turning around on a short week, 4 days in between those games. First game this season, I saw a little bit of clarity. I like it. What do you think?
That is clarity. It was good to see. Seeing Kenny Pickett not able to finish a Jaguars game, but coming back on Thursday with that toughness. Laskers, how'd you like those last 2 games?
I, you know, I would not be riding high if it wasn't for a Thursday night game that we frickin' won. After the Sunday game, whatever you want to call it, I wasn't feeling very good. After that Thursday game yesterday, I'm feeling pretty good.
Now, Gingy, there is something special I want to talk about here with a very much maligned coach on the Steelers. In my opinion, calling 2 very well games. I mean, let's be honest, we drew up a first play touchdown against Jacksonville that didn't work, got a sack, but then drew up a third down play that would have worked if, man, your boy, the space cadet, Deontay Johnson, didn't have those unforced errors. And then we decide we're going to kick Canada's butt down to the sideline. And the Steelers really only had 7 drives where they tried to score. They had the 8th drive where they tried to run out the clock, and the 9th drive where they took a single knee. But in 7 drives, they produced 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and only 2 3 and outs. I mean, that might have been the best game in Matt Canada's career, albeit only 20 points. But when you look at it per drive, that was a really effective offense against Tennessee.
Yeah, and we saw that indicated with the return of Deontay Johnson. I think we talked about it before. How when the more pieces of that offense that's able to come together, the more effective it's going to look. And I've thought the offense has continued to look more effective each week since his return.
Now, Laskers, to you, there's a guy who has played in 2 games for the Steelers. He started at left tackle once and looked like the best offensive lineman on the team. He started at right tackle once and looked at the best best lineman on the team. Kind of like Joey Porter Jr. getting small samples, and then you need to see him be out there because he's the best. When the hell does Broderick Jones get named a starter at right or left tackle at this point?
Oh, I don't trust our coaches, but God, I hope it's next week. And, he has actually looked really good. He's got some good pushes. That's what we need. We got to get that running game started.
He single-handedly blocked 2 people into the end zone on Najee Harris's 10-yard touchdown run. I just want to point that out. He cleared 2, Simualu cleared the other guy, and Najee goes into the end zone looking like he's going to run physical and straight, Gingy, but then he turns into Twinkle Toes. When the hell is Najee going to learn to just put his head down, Gingy?
I don't know if that's his style or not. It sure needs to be though. It's way more effective when he runs that way.
And
And
now
it would be a great compliment to what we got with Warren. A great compliment, Donkey.
Jalen Warren is hard to tackle. I love it. But Laskers, my next question wants to be, we were sold on Najee Harris as a pass catcher coming out of Alabama. He's a complete running back. He can do everything. Yet, in the passing game, all he does is drop the ball like he did both in Tennessee and Jacksonville. And we take him out at pass pro because Jalen Warren's better. Was Najee Harris oversold to the Steelers, or did the Steelers just not do their due diligence in scouting him?
I think the Steelers did not do their due diligence. And, he has not looked good in the last 2 seasons trying to catch a ball. Jalen is definitely the better pass catching back. And I actually had that same conversation today at work with one of the guys that's a Steelers fan who I've taken to a Steelers game. And it's like, yeah, Jalen is the better back. But, if we can get Najee to average the 4+ yards a carry, we got a good back.
Yeah, that was probably the best game between the two of them. 150 yards rushing for the Steelers against Tennessee. That's really good. So let's go ahead here, and I want to point out my favorite factoid of the Pittsburgh Steelers season. The Steelers are now the 34th team in NFL history to get outgained in each of the first 8 games of the season. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the first team to do that and have a winning record. Gingy, Laskers, I want you both to take this point a little bit. Is it possible to be bad at all 4 facets of football? That's pass defense, pass offense, rush defense, rush offense. Is it possible to be bad at all 4 facets and still be maybe not a good, but a winning football team?
I don't know, Donkey. I don't know how that's sustainable, but I'll tell you what, we've talked about it for a while, and that's the splash plays. And boy, do they come at the most opportunistic times, right? We're not blowing teams out. We're not blowing them away. But Donkey, they have sustained drives, and then, it'd be an interesting stat to see how many interceptions we have with the opponent on our side of the field. I feel like there's got to be quite a few of those, Donkey, where we intercept the ball after a long drive. I mean, I don't know if
two
that's
of them in the last
sustainable,
2 games at least. 2 of them in the last 2 games at least. The end of drive, Will Levis and the Devontae Casey one in the end zone where he stepped out of the 2-yard line at the Jacksonville game.
I remember Lamar throwing a pick in the end zone as well. So, I feel like that's happening for the Steelers a lot.
It does seem to. And, well, maybe it's not sustainable, Gingy, but the last 17 starts for Kenny Pickett, he is 12-5. The stats don't look pretty. The numbers don't look pretty. And Laskers, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this because they'll say you're just making excuses for it. But I really feel like the Steelers' game plan, and they've talked about it before, sometimes we're not trying to score touchdowns. We're just trying to win field position. I really feel like Mike Tomlin has told Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett, you guys are not allowed to turn the ball over in the first 3 quarters. We're a defensive team. That's what we're built on. That's what we're going to do. You guys don't turn the ball over, and that's why you see Kenny miss on ultra-conservative throwing angles rather than taking chances. And then in the 4th quarter, he comes out as a different quarterback. To me, that is the only explanation I can see for the night and day difference. Either that or Kenny Pickett just has the best crunch time clutch vibe ever, Laskers.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. He's not taking any real hard chances, and there's got to be a reason for that, and it's got to be coaching. So I agree that that's why he's not taking the chances.
I hear that. In terms of the Jacksonville game, man, Trubisky comes in and you just get that feeling that the game is over because say what you want, Kenny Pickett in the 4th quarter, he makes you feel like you got a chance. Trubisky in the 4th quarter makes you feel like you're done. As soon as the Pickett injury happened at halftime, Gingy, I just felt that was the summation of the game. That was the exclamation point. I mean, you could sum it up on the first drive the way the Steelers game went. Missed touchdown, sack, missed first down, punt the ball, long drive for the Jaguars that leads to points. I mean, the first 2 possessions just break down that game. Is there anything you want to add to it?
Not really. It was kind of sad. I feel like, okay, so I saw that we didn't have anything going in the full first half of that game at all. And then we get a great play, I believe, an interception. Was that in it? Yeah. Well, that was one of the interceptions in the end zone as well.
Out at the 2. Yeah.
And that is what I'm saying. For such a great play to try to take that ball out and then to step out at the 2, that looks like a recipe for disaster.
Why did he even run out, though?
I don't know.
He thought he had a lane, and I'm not even going to be mad about it because you guys have to remember that was the 90-yard drive that led to the field goal right there.
And that is exactly what I was going to get to, Donkey. Let me finish on that. That was the only spark in offense that we had is when we put ourselves in the worst possible position we could. And then we saw a 92, what did you say, 92, 95-yard stinking drive that ended in 3 points. Oh, my heavens, Donkey. I knew at that point that there really wasn't going to be a ton of hope, I felt.
we again wasted a first down play by letting Twinkle Toes Harris run the ball. And a lot of people are going to hate me to say this, but that missed touchdown is 100% on Deontay Johnson and not Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett realizes it's a zone, so he throws the ball where Deontay Johnson should sit down, and Deontay Johnson just keeps running the slant at full speed because he doesn't diagnose that it's a zone. And far too often this year that has happened last year, where the receivers and the quarterback just are not reading the play the same way. They need to get on the same page. Canada needs to make sure they get on the same page so that these mistakes stop happening, because they need to score 7 there and not settle for a field goal. Both Pickett, Johnson, and Canada all need to be better in those situations.
Oh, I agree. The good thing is now Canada's on the field. It might make a difference, but I'm not gonna hold out hope that it's really gonna make a difference.
That's fair. Any closing thoughts on the Jaguars game? I mean, let's be honest. Some of the worst officiating I ever saw. The offsides call on the field goal at the end of the half, where a Jaguars player was offside and clearly no Steelers were. I mean, my God, that call can't be made, right?
That was awful, and that was game-changing, I felt, ultimately.
That took away half of our offense in the first half.
Could have been. Again, there still wasn't enough consistent offense to blame it on any one thing, but definitely, took 3 points off the board. Made the first one, missed the second.
It did, and it hurt. I agree with you in the little talk we had before. I won't go as far as Deontay Johnson, just like you said. You wouldn't go as far as Deontay Johnson and saying the refs cost them the game, but the refs certainly didn't help. Now let's get to Tennessee. On a short week, the Steelers, Gingy, I was promised big changes like 5 weeks ago, but they happened. Boy George, Broderick Jones in the starting lineup, Matt Canada's butt kicked down to the field, and as I read somewhere, that cold Pittsburgh air running over that bald head of his made something click. Something started working. We had only 38 yards all year on opening drives. We start off with a 78-yard touchdown drive. Gingy, the Titans game, starting absolutely perfect. A quarterback with hurt ribs getting out there and just flinging it. The running game looking good. Najee running hard right behind Broderick Jones. Boy, George, it's going to be a blowout, right? Did we lose him, Laskers?
I think we might have lost the Gingy.
Not a blowout. It looked like it could have been. I thought that was Lasker's turn to talk. My bad. All right, we're looking at that. That was a great way to start in Donkey. It didn't. Yeah, the defense didn't compliment it on that turnaround. They always play to what they need to. Like, if they're put in a hard position, they pull it off. But if they're put in a position just to kind of to not be under that much pressure, they don't seem to perform as well.
No, this team hates perform well. And that's what I was going to let Laskers get into. Laskers, this team is the antithesis of they don't play together. If the defense gives up a long drive, you know damn good and well the offense is going to go 3 out. If the offense looks like they're on fire and feeling it, you know the defense is going to give up a long drive to kill the momentum. And that's exactly what happens. We kick the ball off. Tennessee takes like a 7-minute drive. Sure, it only has in a field goal, but still, you have a quarterback with rib injuries, and if you ever had a rib injury, you're sitting on the bench in the cold, that stuff hurts. That's no excuse. Kenny Pickett still has to hit George Pickens on that crosser there early in the game after that 3 and out. But the defense is not helping the offense when they finally get momentum by giving up a 7-minute drive, Laskers. This team needs to learn how to start steamrolling, and we're like a locomotive that's freaking stuck and has a broken tire or something. Every time we take one roll forward, we're going to jam up and stop.
Oh, I agree. There's definitely something wrong between the connection between the defense and the offense. And, it's going to continue to hurt us until they can figure out how to gel and help each other out.
Okay, so I don't know how to explain this, but this defense always seems to do this. We are terrible in yards. We're middle of the league in points. But, my God, this team seems to make plays. Early in the game, it was sacks. Gingy, my highlight of the day is TJ Watt getting his helmet stiff-armed off, sacking Will Levis, and then just scaring the crap out of me by going full Debo, yelling his head off there after the big sack that forced the field goal.
Beautiful. That's Steelers football right there, worth every penny.
But then the second half happens. The defense gets no sacks. I believe all 3 sacks were in the first half. Luckily, Alexander gets the interception because other guys dropped them. A lot of tic-tac penalties through the game. But Kenny Pickett now has the most game-winning touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the game since he's been drafted. He has 4 of those. Josh Allen second with 3. Kenny Pickett leads his 7th fourth quarter comeback since he's been drafted. That's only 21 games, so 1 out of every 3. I mean, Laskers, I know the dude doesn't put up great stat lines. I know he's been missing some throws. But honest to God, is there a quarterback right now in the final drive of a game that you would rather have the football in the hands of?
Definitely not. I mean, when you get down to the fourth quarter, give Kenny the ball. He's going to figure out how to make points.
It certainly seems that way. And Gingy, per drive, the offense was really good when you consider they only had 7 drives where they tried to score. The 8th drive was the 3 straight runs for zero reason other than make Tennessee waste their timeouts. And, of course, the 9th drive was a single kneel down. But that means in 7 drives, they had 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, only 2 3-and-outs. They're scoring touchdowns on over 25% of their drives. They're scoring over 50% of their drives. That's well above what is normally league average. That could be something to build on going forward. I know the Titans aren't the best defense, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, Donkey, and that's what we were looking for all year. I think I started off predicting this year anyway that we were going to see a new sort of face on offense, right? Well, that young team, they still started a little bit slow, but as the year's going on, there is a little bit of gelling to it. And I mean, the offense is starting to develop an identity. And what I really like to see yesterday is how many rush yards we put up on the board, right?
Ooh,
What was that
right?
stat line? Warren with 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
We got Najee with 4.3 yards a carry. That I think is a recipe for how you pull out games late in the year.
I hear you on that. And this is what I'm going to say about this, Gingy. Najee, if there's 3 yards there, he'll give you 3 yards. But if the play's not there, he's going to lose you 2. Jaylen Warren, dude, I don't know how many times I could tell you that dude was tackled for a loss, and then there's a 20-yard gain on the back end. How the hell little Mighty Mouse keeps going, I don't know. But it is fun to watch. And, maybe we got something going out there, but Laskers, again, for the second straight game, a big injury on defense. Mika to hamstring in the Jacksonville game. This week, Cole Holcomb with a knee injury that looks like it's probably a season ender. This could be a huge loss for the Steelers. I mean, is getting Cam Hayward back enough to make up for the loss of those 2?
I personally don't think it's enough. And both of those losses hurt us a lot.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So you guys got any closing thoughts on the Tennessee game before we get to some cash or trash? Because I have some fun ones in store for you today that are going to be featuring some of the players who got inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor on Sunday. So any closing thoughts on the Titans game, Laskers, Gingy?
I got nothing.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Close win. I think that was what I called the week before. So here we go.
Me and Gingy both picking this game right. He did text me in time, and he did predict the Steelers win, albeit with a little more offense that was shown. I was pretty close. Laskers just is never going to pick the Steelers, win, lose, or draw. He doesn't care. He's staying on the picking the loss thing. So that's, I guess,
picking
where
till we win
We'll see.
2 in a row.
Two in a row. All right, fair enough. So maybe, hopefully after Green Bay, a pretty big important game coming up next week. Nothing really to talk about. So these cash or trash are going to be purely off the games we saw. Gingy, I want to start with you, and I want to start with Ring of Honor Debo. That's James Harrison. Scary man, don't want to get in his way. We got to see TJ Watt try to be a scary man with his helmet off, yelling at people. if you were an offensive lineman, Gingy, cash it or trash it, you would be more scared to line up against Debo than TJ Watt.
Ooh, boy. In terms of scary, I don't know. I mean, I think James Harrison really had his moves, speed around the edge, bull rush, gonna overpower you, right?
Yeah.
TJ, I feel, is a little bit more diverse in his moveset.
Hmm?
And I don't know. I'd probably be more worried about lining up against TJ.
I would be more scared of Debo because that dude would make me eat my own vomit. Nothing against TJ. I think TJ's the better all around football player. I mean, look what he's done in terms of interceptions and sacks in his career. But Gingy, Debo's the scariest man I've ever seen play football personally. That dude would knock your block off just for fun.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
All right, so let's get into another Ring of Honor guy that we got to see play a lot. Aaron the Arrow Smith Laskers, another defensive stalwart. The Steelers get back Cam Hayward this week, and you see maybe a little bit better on the run defense. But Laskers, what I want to ask you is cash or trash Aaron Smith as a better defensive lineman than Cam Hayward?
Cash. I don't even need to think about that one.
You like Aaron Smith that much more than Cam Hayward in his career, Laskers?
I do.
That's fair. That dude was a legendary guy. And in terms of Steelers stardom, you have to know that the rings matter. Cam, that's a note to you, dude. We need that ring. Let's get it done. All right, let's keep it going and let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. Gingy, cash it or trash it. The loss of Cole Holcomb will be bigger than the return of Cam Hayward going forward.
Cash. I think that's cash. I think Cole Holcomb was a really excellent addition. He's played a ton of snaps on defense this season. And for once, we're not constantly talking about all of the middle linebacker woes that we have been for the past few years. The combination of him and Roberts and Alexander was really working for us, and that's going to be a big loss.
I certainly agree with you there. Laskers, I have one more on the defensive side of the ball, and it is going to be this right here. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't hold the Tennessee Titans under 100 yards rushing. They gave up 109. Cam Hayward's back. Montravis Adams looks hurt. That means more Keanu Benton. But maybe with the addition of Joey Porter Jr., we stop playing so many soft zones and are able to push more in the box. So, Laskers, my cash or trash for you is for the rest of the year, the Steelers will hold their opponents under 90 yards rushing per game. Cash or trash?
Oh man, I gotta look who we see to see who we play.
Green Bay, Baltimore, Cincinnati twice, Cleveland, Arizona, because we play that whole West Division, which means we got Arizona and Seattle still on pocket. I don't know who we play in the AFC division-wise. I think it's the Dolphins, right? So we still have like the Dolphins in that, or are we not? Are we playing the South? I think it's the South this year. So we have
it's not Dolphins.
Indy still, which has a really good run game, and oh my gosh, who's the last team in the South there? Gingy, I always forget them. I got Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee. Tennessee,
we already
just played them. So
we already
never mind.
played them.
We're good.
Cash. I think we can hold them.
That would be huge for the team, and that might
it's gonna be close.
Establish an identity. Establishing an identity could be huge for them. I guess I normally do 5, so we got to give one more to Gingy, and it's going to be this one right here. Joey Porter Jr. will grade out as a top 15 corner by the end of the season. Cash or trash?
Cash. I think he's already graded, top 5?
He's been pretty good since he's been inserted. Had a pretty good game against Hopkins when matched up. Little handsy, getting called for some penalties, but in the long run, looked pretty darn good so far.
I'm cashing that up, Donkey. I think that we might have found something there. Has a really good coverage ability, really sticks to his guy. Might be able to improve with his tackling and with his hands, but best corner we've drafted in a while.
Fair enough. Laskers, with the success the Steelers found on Thursday night fake football, Matt Canada will be calling plays from the sideline for the remainder of the season. Cash or trash?
Trash. I don't think he's actually going to want to play down there anymore.
He gets some success and he has to leave.
I think he likes that fucking press box.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. Gingy, with Najee Harris's lack of production in short yardage situations, whether it be 3rd and 2 runs, 3rd and 1 runs, goal line packages from inside the 5, with his lack of production, you will see a different running back on this roster start taking the higher percentage of those snaps. I believe right now inside the 5-yard line, Najee something like 95% of the snaps at running back. Cash or trash, either Jaylen Warren, returning Anthony McFarland, or perhaps practice squad guy who was a short yardage specialist in Atlanta, Quadri Olison, will start to take the majority of goal line snaps for the rest of the year.
Yeesh, I think that's trash. I still think after last week's performance, Najee's going to be taking a majority of those snaps. But that's not to say that he is going to be the better back overall. I just think based on what I've seen so far, I think he's going to get to rock in those situations.
I agree with you, and I don't think he should, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's not the question that you asked, per se, Donkey.
I know. You answered that exactly the way I would have. Laskers. Deontay Johnson, back for 2 games, clearly the most targeted receiver, making George Pickens a little upset, whatever, who cares, go be a diva. But Deontay Johnson, after 600 days, to a full season, finally catches a touchdown pass. Laskers, cash it or trash it. Deontay Johnson is the most important member of this offense.
Cash on the receiver side. You know, you gotta
just
have
on
Kenny
the offense
there.
and all.
All right, I'll give him the cash. He's got to be able to catch the balls that are thrown to him, though.
I agree with you. He needs to be a little more sure-handed, but I also agree that dude is the most important member of that offense. Just look at the way it goes differently. Gingy, the Steelers this week, 7 drives, 333 yards on those early drives, and 20 points. That breaks down to 47 yards a drive. NFL average last year, if you're curious, was 31. That breaks down to 2.9 points per drive. The NFL average last year is like slightly above 2 because the average game's 11 drives. Gingy, cash it or trash it. The Pittsburgh Steelers have figured something out to get going, to keep this scoring drive livelihood going. And for the rest of the season, they haven't done it. I think they've only done it in 2 games this year, averaged over 2.1 yard or points per drive. The Steelers will average over 2.2 points per drive for the rest of the year, which will be about, if you're curious in points per game, will probably average about 23 points a game.
Oh, boy, Donkey, I think I don't know. This is very unlike me, Donkey, but I'm not sure that the one game that I saw versus the Tennessee Titans defense inspires me to talk about rest of season talk yet. All right. I'm going to have to trash that statement. Going to have to table that for now. We're going to table that for now because when I see 4-3 announced to start the game at Jacksonville with some very shaky stuff, I know it was pouring down, soaking wet cold.
Damn Deontay.
I saw some slippery hands out there, some slippery balls out there, all right? I'm not ready to commit to the rest of the season for that offense yet, but boy, they had a great start to that. Show me 2 or 3 in a row like that and ask me that question again.
Fair enough. Laskers, we talked about Kenny Pickett. Come back to one. This is going to be the last one on offense. Kenny Pickett, 4 game-winning touchdowns thrown in the final 5 minutes since being drafted. Kenny Pickett, 7 fourth-quarter comebacks in 21 games. Kenny Pickett, 12-5 in his last 17 starts. Laskers, cash it or trash it. Kenny Pickett is your quarterback for the future.
This is a hard one for me. I'm actually going to go cash on this one. He has shown up and proven himself.
Gingy, I don't want to leave you out on this one either. Cash it or trash it, Kenny Pickett is your quarterback for the future. Albeit the highly inaccurate throws early in the game, the not showing up for 3 quarters. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't count. But does the clutch vibe enough for you to commit to Kenny Pickett, Gingy?
Right now, I'm cashing that statement, Donkey. I can buy into it. I can. I think given the structure of the team and the defense, you continue building weapons around him. You continue to let him to grow into those receivers. He got so much better as the year went on last year, and I know that we're having a slow start of effort proportions if he is going to turn out to be something special, per se. But, Donkey. You got to that level of swagger isn't taught at the end of games.
No.
You know what I mean? You have that guy or you don't. And he's shown that. While we haven't seen consistency from the offense, we have seen consistency from him in clutch moments.
That's true. Kenny Pickett in the fourth quarter is just something to see.
That's not a one and done. That's not a one-trick pony. We've seen it like 8 times now.
Remember, 2 of these losses in these last 17 games were games where Kenny Pickett didn't even get to play the fourth quarter, being Baltimore and Jacksonville. I mean, there's something to be said about it. The kid clearly needs to get better with his intermediate pass accuracy, hitting those deep throws a little more often. But this nonsense of you miss 4 throws a game, you're a terrible quarterback stuff is getting old. I mean, every quarterback misses 4 throws a game. That's quarterbacking, or they'd all complete 90% of their passes. Come on, people. Let's calm down. Let's be happy. Is this the worst team in football? I don't know, maybe, but they're 5-3, and I'm sure as hell going to enjoy winning because otherwise you're just a salty person. And, I do have my good share of salt, but 5-3, guys, aren't we a little bit excited that the Steelers are playing terrible football but winning?
Of course.
Well, what I expected really their MO to be kind of being worse at the beginning of the season than they are at the end of the season. If that prediction holds true, then we're looking up.
I hope you're right, Gingy. All right, we had 2 games. You guys didn't get too much time. You got to listen to too much hosting over here on my part. Laskers, I want you to start with a hell of a dime about these last 2 games. And then when you're done, say, Gingy, one up that.
Oh, my hell of a dime is Jalen has looked freaking amazing in the last 2 games. I mean, we gotta give Jalen a shout out. I mean, he's looked good. Gingy, what's your time?
That's a great choice. That's a great choice, Laskers. I'm not going to lie. I've seen some really explosive runs out of him the last few games. I mean, really trucking people, finishing runs hard, running hard. I can't deny that decision. But for me, the dime has got to be Deontay Johnson, even in consistently performing at this point, really starting to push that number 1 type of vibe for what he's supposed to be. I know he's got the drops. I know he's got the dropsies. All right, we really need to work on that. But that's really been the biggest change in the whole offense that I've seen over the past couple weeks is when he's clicking and him and Kenny are clicking, the rest of the team can start clicking. That run game starts clicking. We're talking about screen games. We're kicking in Connor Hayward. All those different things are running through really Deontay's ability to have that big playability, that little whoopsie daisy, and he makes one guy miss, and then you're hurting. All right, defensive coordinators actually have to account for that, and I think it really changes the way that you could have to scheme against the Steelers.
That's true. My dime has to be the offense that just play calling, Gingy. Canada looks like he's competent. I mean, there's another touchdown on the field if George Pickens just makes a routine catch for an NFL player of a toe tap. I mean, every player does it. George Pickens doesn't. That happens. But Kenny Pickett threw the ball to 8 different receivers on yesterday. I mean, say what you want. Matt Canada deserves all the damn hate going his way. But if these last 2 games you've been hating Matt Canada, you've been watching the wrong stuff. Watching this go forward and maybe watching this offense start to get to where it can assist in big plays with the defense rather than just not turning the ball over and hoping the defense does well. Which, let's be honest, Kenny Pickett's really good at protecting the football. I mean, what is it, less than a turnover a game since he's become the starter? If you take out that Jets game, his first start, that's pretty good stuff for the way the Steelers like to play. But at the end of the day, we need to see a little more. We need to see it against the offense show up, that is, against a good opponent. I mean, the defense pretty much won the Cleveland game, and Baltimore beat themselves in the Baltimore game. What I need to see going forward is this offense be the reason we beat a good football team. I think Cincinnati's going to be the next real challenge we have because I believe that's the game after Green Bay. That's where we need to see them show up. All right.
Yeah, Donkey, I'll go with that as well. I wanted to add to that statement. You were talking about pass game and George Pickens toe tap, and I'm actually starting to see some misdirection in the run game. We're getting some really good run play calls down by the goal line. And I think that it's really showing to be. That's where I noticed the biggest difference. Like the run plays aren't super predictable. There's misdirection going on. There's people moving going on, and yeah,
you're allowed
like
to shift players. I don't think you are you?
Well, they do now, and like when we have a fullback going one way and we have a halfback going another, that's not really typical Steeler football.
No,
usually it's fullback directly followed by halfback every time, right? Now we're throwing a little bit of 2023 in there into the run game, and we have the personnel to be able to do it. Again, I want Najee running between the tackles, not only because that really suits his game and play style more, because it also complements what we have going on with Jaylen Warren. While he can run between the tackles, I don't want to put a smaller guy like that in the line of fire so many times. He's really effective at what he's doing right now.
Gingy, I don't care if he runs between the tackles. I just want to see Najee make one cut and run hard. Not this run up to the line, twinkle toes like you're Le'Veon Bell and get tackled for a 2-yard loss. Just hit it hard, dude. Hit it hard. Like, the play I'm going to point out is, do you remember Jaylen Warren running over that cornerback in the middle of the field in the Tennessee game? Do that, okay? Hit someone. My goodness gracious. Laskers, I want you to lead me into the picks. What game do you want to start with from the AFC North? Which one tickles your fancy, let's say? Who do we got? Who we got?
Ravens
Laskers?
game.
Ravens game. Who the heck are they playing? I have lost my stat sheet, so I need a little assistance here.
Uh-oh.
Don't I gotta get my phone. I'm too far away. Seahawks, I think.
We got this. We have the Ravens versus the Seahawks. Yes, that is a game. Who'd you got, Laskers?
I got the Ravens over the Seahawks.
Ginger.
I do as well. Ravens over Hawks. Ravens are hot right now. And again, I do talk a lot of smack on the Ravens, of course, being who I am, but when they are healthy, they are dangerous.
That's for sure. Second game, we got the Bengals at the Cardinals. They traded away Dobbs, but that means what's-his-face should be back. Why can't I think of the Cardinals quarterback? Kyler Murray should be back. Do you like the Browns with a backup, or do you like the Cardinals, Laskers?
I'm liking the Cardinals, and I know I actually I'm changing what I texted you the other day, because
this is where it counts.
I don't trust the Browns with a backup quarterback.
Fair enough. Gingy.
Give me the Browns.
Give me the Browns, too. That defense is just too good, and I believe James Conner's still hurt, and Arizona just they're searching for something, and it just doesn't seem to be there.
They
That
traded
gives
away
us,
Dobbs, didn't they?
yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah.
That gives us the Bills and the Bengals. But before we pick this game, I want to point out a fun stat. The Cincinnati Bengals are 4-0 against the NFC West and 0-3 against the rest of the league. Just so we have that out there before you make your pick. Laskers, who you got?
I got the Gills. The Gills are going to win this one. They're going to make that stat different.
Well, if they win, they'd make the stat the same, Laskers. Gingy, who you got?
Give me. Oh man, this is such a trap.
I made
This is such a
Gingy laugh
trap.
so hard.
This is prime. This is a prime time game. Oh boy. Give me the Bills, and I'm probably gonna regret it.
I'm picking the Bills too because I'm going with the
Ugh.
Bengals not beating anyone but the NFC West this year because that will be hysterical.
I
So
feel
until
we're
they
all gonna
do,
regret
I'm
that.
picking against the Bengals every week, just so
I
we're
don't
clear.
know. That's a scary
You
one.
said primetime, Gingy, and that brought something up in my head. Is Kenny Pickett now 6-1 in primetime football games? And also, the Steelers undefeated this year in primetime football games. How the hell do we get more primetime football games?
I don't know. We already get quite a bit, Donkey. I don't know how we get it.
We need
anymore.
to be on
gotta-
the Dallas Cowboy level with how many wins we get on primetime.
The Gills have a lot of primetime games this year.
All right, I hear you hating on them, but when they let Josh Allen run Laskers, they're a pretty scary team. Last week they let him run. I think this
You
week
know,
as well.
I live an hour and a half from there,
Dang.
so I watch all their games.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett is like 6-1 in prime time now.
Yeah, dude, this team is clutch
Oh.
in the big games on national television.
Oh, dang. I do like it.
All right, we have to do shout-outs. Oh, Gingy. I think it'll be fun to start with a Gingy shout-out, so let's go there.
Got to shout out a game closer and a new Steeler overall, Quan Alexander. I really like the way that he's fitting into that defense. Big splash play at the end of the game. Boy, oh boy, that's an exciting moment. Can't believe we let him get down there like that to really let them have a shot at the end zone within 25 yards, but way to close it out. New Steeler, let's go, Quan Alexander. Shout out.
Fair enough. And Gingy, that's just Steeler football to make you absolutely want to have a heart attack.
Oh, my heart.
Laskers.
At 11:30 at night? How do you expect me to go to sleep right after that? Are you serious?
Hey, thank God I was back in Alaska because those late games on the East Coast are certainly hard to stay awake for. So thank goodness I was back here where the game ended at like 7 p.m.
Was wrecked at work today.
Laskers, shout out.
I agree with Gingy. That was a long day at work today. But my shout out is to Abby. Thanks for letting Donkey come to the fishbowl. And thank you for letting Jordy and Micah go to another Steelers game. Well, I know Jordy, that was the first game for Jordy, but another, we're just going to consider that as another one.
He got to be part of Steeler Nation. And like I said in the bug cap, Micah got his cool little gold chain that fits him, one of the little Steeler chains.
Yeah,
if you know Micah,
well.
it's
fits
so
him
Micah.
well.
My shout out has to be to a guy who I have been ripping on nonstop for 2 years now. Matt Canada, my God, way to call 2 pretty darn good football games. I'll give you a shout out. And you know what? Mike Tomlin, you played the most boring and some of the worst style of football I've ever seen. But for some reason, you win. So you'll also get a semi shout out here. But y'all need to keep the upward trajectory going.
That's like a backhanded compliment, Donkey. Holy smokes.
Hey, then it came across exactly how it was meant. I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. The X, your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger's YouTube channel, where you get all this fun content. If you don't listen to the Budcap, make sure you do, because it's kind of fun stuff. The Power Ranking Show, hey, if you care to hear about me, Laskers, and Gingy's opinion, which these crazy monks keep putting Detroit above the dang Ravens, did you guys not watch the football game? Laskers, go ahead.
No, I definitely didn't watch, but it's the Laskers everywhere. And over to you, Gingy. It's your turn to close it out.
Gingy in the house. We hanging out, talking football. Holy smokes, folks. Hopefully everyone's heart rate is back to normal level after last night. Get yourself a nice relaxing weekend of football coming up. 5-3 Steelers. Keep them ready. Keep them locked and loaded. Here we go. Let's go, Steelers.